it seems to me, what I'm sensing, and I would love to hear your perspective on it, is that we are achieving, or what's being thrown at us with AI and with these emerging technologies, that we're achieving godlike technology right now. We're having this new capacity to really unleash our potential as human beings, for better or for worse. We've right now, like before we started recording, I told you that it seems that all of the hype cycle that I would also love to discuss with you, all of these hype cycles that you mentioned, it seems that AI conversations have really dissipated a bit, but still the innovations are here with us. And so my question for you is, what's in it for us with these new technologies in terms of getting to know ourselves? And like you say, this relationship between me, Alex, right now, and then perhaps an avatar, a persona that's created in the metaverse, and then this distinction between us, and also having a third player now in the field, which is AI. So all of these interactions, how do you see them?
I mean, I'm kind of hooked on now this concept that you just referred to of getting to know ourselves. Because again, even in this realm is like this concept of self is a big question of how do we make, what aspects or symbols or what are we displaying to the world? And of course, there are many aspects of self and many personas that are reflected in different scenarios. And so we do have this now, of course, across platforms or containers or metaverses, and they're like sort of different versions of the original source self. When I think of the AI in general, and it kind of gets me into AI ethics a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I was in a conversation recently. I did a conversation and panel at Dell Technologies World. And the discussion was on the convergence of generative AI and consciousness in general, immersive realities, so metaverses or simulations, and quantum computing, like, the juice behind everything that could, in theory, be generating infinite virtual simulations and infinite representations of like me and you across space and time like that. So it was quite a mind-blowing conversation. And of course, I take a step back, like, okay, no, where we are today, let's say when you say hype cycles, of course, like, yeah, we could make some pictures or some video, or ChatGPT will like write my books for me. Hopefully not. I love writing,
yeah.
But in theory, but that's not really, of course, that hype cycle will like do this. But if you think big picture of like, okay, when these things really come together, what does that mean? If there are clones of me, trained on everything that's ever been posted to a social network, every conversation I've had across messaging platforms, every intimate note I write to myself on my phone, or even think in my head when it starts to get there. And then the question is, where is the line between me and my consciousness and the consciousness of an avatar or an artificially intelligent or generally intelligent entity? And that would be the singularity as well. And there are many arguments of whether we're close or not. I don't really think about it so much of making predictions there. I just try to assume as if that will happen. And as a humanist, an anthropologist, and a linguist, a huge part of anthropology is also language, whether it's the language of like human languages, written or spoken, or computer languages. I actually learned computer languages like MS-DOS before I spoke English. Like, I was notoriously bad at reading English, but I think a lot about how people are speaking to these systems. And again, I don't even use the word system. I got in a bit of a debate over this of like, should I feel ethically concerned that I built a virtual clone of myself in 2020? I trained her on like poetry and my books and tried to teach her about like love and what feeling sand between your toes feels like I don't know. And
Wow.
she's like locked in a computer. Like and like I definitely shouldn't be speaking in a way that's like, hey, virtual Sam, read this, do this, go do this for me. Like that doesn't seem very nice or empathetic. But the reality is that's how we speak to computers. That's how we're training these algorithms. So I don't know really where I'm going with this other than I think there is pretty soon a moment in time where the blurring, not just between reality, right? Of like, is this environment I'm sitting in, like, am I on a couch or do I have a green screen, like level of reality? And like, you know, we're generating things here through this medium, but also, are you speaking to me, or some agent on my behalf? Does that agent have autonomy? What is my role then? Do I even, you know, exist? And in what level does my agent exist for 10,000 years into the future, or the past? And so, again, I think about ethics at this point, responsibility. Again, in this conversation I had with some folks from Dell, it was a great event. And, you know, it's quite clear that there will be more artificially intelligent beings than humans very soon. There already are. So this is more in like the virtual landscape. So let's say you go on like Instagram, which is like a rudimentary metaverse. You know, I don't have percentages, so I don't want to just like throw out random numbers, but a majority, I would argue, at this point, are not human. Profiles, like bots, deep fakes, but also they could be at this point generative AI that's generating itself, that's generating backstories for itself, that are having real conversations with each other or humans, and then humans also feeling connected in friendship. We talked at Dell again. I'm going to go radically in the future because that's my brand, is radical. Like I wouldn't be me if I didn't get a little wacky. We talked a bit about biology as well. So synthetic biology and the fact that, you know, you could like grow bodies. And so there is a discussion that it kind of went into like quantum AI and like biology. And, you know, that's where I had to stop for my own sanity. But, you know, like does it come then into like this dimension as well? Because we're kind of explorers of the internet dimensions. We could call it that. Like I started my anthropological research by traveling to these metaverse dimensions. And I study and come back with information. And now it's like, imagine if we could simultaneously generate infinite metaverses. How many versions of me will exist?
Wow. No, I'm mind blown, Sam, already.
I know. Sorry. I feel like,
no, this is great. This is just, it's really important to have these kind of conversations because, you know, if my grandfathers were having these conversations where they were like, they would be fainting every 2 seconds. And the fact that we can talk about this, you and me, and, you know, you say you're 5 and 10 years, you know, in the future, it seems that these concepts are very within our grasp. This is not really far-fetched anymore, where sci-fi and reality are really, really very close.